Welcome back. Woo! We're halfway there. Just did 10 through 6. Now we're down to the nitty gritty. No more bullshit.
Right.
This is where things get really tough. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a blast. I hope you're having a great birthday doing this. I had to coerce you into doing this. But this is having a good beer. We got another one on the side here we're going to have to get to. This is it, number 5. Give it to us. Tell us the director first so there's
Number
no confusion.
5, yeah, I'm going to have to for this one.
Uh-oh.
Robin Hardy, The Wicker Man. The original, obviously.
Yes, let's make that clear, please.
No Nicolas Cage bullshit. The reason for this one, just the overall strangeness of the movie. Edward Woodward, is that his name? I could watch him literally walk around in this town for like 5 hours. It's just so entertaining.
It's a great point.
Right?
This could have been
It just does
Lord
not,
of the Rings extended version
right.
of this movie.
It doesn't give... It seems on the outside, if you look at like the plot of it, you think, wow, that's got to be fucking boring.
How did they make
the
a
movie? Is so entertaining.
Unique horror film.
Unique. The music, they're so upbeat with everything.
But still creepy.
Still,
generally,
yeah,
I don't want to hear.
It makes them more creepy.
Exactly. Generally, I don't want to hear songs in my horror films, but that one fucking works.
The soundtrack for it is great. All the songs are like the Christopher Lee song with him and the piano, just great, phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Right.
And of course, the ending.
The ending.
Great ending. Probably one of my favorite. Fantastic ending. Awesome pick. Number 5. My number 5. Talk about. You're getting your favorite zombie film in there. Talking to you. Lucio Fulci's Zombie, number 5. Probably not most, I shouldn't say most people, I'm just generalizing. I know a lot of people probably would agree with you that their favorite would be maybe one of Romero's. Yeah. Justifiably so. For whatever reason, even like just the Fulci's films in general, I mean, I obviously leaving out, unless I will in the remainder, but I mean, City of the Living Dead, adore it, The Beyond, even House by Cemetery, but something about Zombie, it's just my favorite, just across the board. I love how the zombies look. I think they're unique in that way. This film reeks Italian horror, the soundtrack, I love the score, the cast, to me, is just a dream team. You have Richard Johnson, Ian McCulloch, Mia Farrow, you got Olga Carlatos, Al Cliver. I mean, it's just awesome. I love all those actors. The gore is fantastic. The vibe.
2 of the most
iconic scenes. Right, exactly. My favorite gore scene probably ever is the Olga in her eye, of course, and then shark versus zombie. It doesn't really get talked about a lot, but I love the end of the film. Just seeing the zombies walking over the bridge into New York City, to me, was just epic. Mm-hmm. I love that. I just love it. To me, it's just across the board, everything about it. I don't have any complaints about the film. I think it's unique too that the zombies are in the sun. You have that island. You don't really see that often. Later on, you'd see it with other Italian zombie films, but you know what I mean. At the time, like just seeing zombies like on this island, beach setting, I think was unique. But yeah, just adore it. My favorite Fulci film, which says a lot to me because I love him as a director. So that's my number
5. Number 4, I picked John Carpenter's The Thing. The thing that I like
the thing.
The thing.
I know you like The Thing, but what do you like about it?
That I like most about the film is just the overwhelming feeling of isolation. Obviously, the effects are amazing, and I don't think that there are many movies that are better effects-wise than The Thing.
To say better, yeah, it'd be tough to say better.
Everyone, everyone's good in it. That's gonna sound redundant after all. We wouldn't pick these movies if everyone wasn't great in them.
Right, I know. We're obviously, these are in our list for a reason.
I don't really have
top 10 lists are about redundancy.
Right.
I mean, just, whatever you want to say it.
I think it's probably Kurt Russell's best performance in a movie.
Which I think says a lot. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
He's not going down as one of the greatest actors of all time, but I think he's had some good performances in his career. Overboard, being one of them.
I don't really know what else to like. It's one of those movies that obviously, I'm pretty sure most of us probably grew up watching The Thing, so.
It's one of those great winter horror movies.
Right.
The snow, and like you said, the the isolation, being a character.
They have nowhere to go, so they can't escape from what's going on in the film. And another thing is that nobody trusts each other. That's probably the best
It's
part.
Character driven. It's character driven. The dialogue's great. It's a great horror film. It's a horror film, truly. You know, in every sense of the word. Creature feature. You know, yeah, fantastic. Great cat, like you said, Allison. Fantastic film. Just shows how great John Carpenter is. You know, we got two of him, of course, in our list right now. What am I doing? Number 4. Number 4. Kind of fitting to be following Fulci, one of my favorite directors, Dario Argento's Suspiria. Again, it'll be the same thing. Cast, score, definitely score is just amazing. Yeah. I mean, Goblin, just memorable.
That's
you know, it stays in your head. The main riff, you know. Right. We talk. I think people realize as the more you hear me talk about horror, but this doesn't always hit with everybody. I always constantly talk about vibe and atmosphere with Finchie as well. You know what I mean? Some people take that to heart less than other people. That's something that's big with me. I don't have to have gore. I love it. But perfect example that rides on atmosphere and vibe and feel. Just right from the beginning when she gets into school. It's kind of a trippy film, you know, definitely.
The use of the colors and the music combined is just...
Right, exactly. It, in a sense, it's very Mario Bava in the way it's shot. The colors, the angles. And I love her performance. What is her name? Jessica Harper. You know, she really was great. American actress in the film, of course. Yeah, just from the start, great witch movie from start to finish. The vibe is fantastic. Yeah, like you said, the kills, somewhat gory. I mean, pretty gory and just memorable though. You know, I mean, each of them is so artistic. I think if you were to try to get someone into Argento films, I think Suspiria you would hand over. You know.
It's the first Argento I'd seen, so...
Yeah, me too. So, and again, another film that for me in particular could be number 1 for me, easily. Argento's Suspiria. My favorite Argento film, which, much like Fulci, says a lot because I love Deep Red and, you know, so many of the other films. So. Number 3, we're getting low here. Let's get another beer before we start this. You're not done with yours, but fuck it.
I think I finished, right?
This is odd. We were in the store. I didn't know this existed. Shipyard, which isn't the greatest brewery, but they make a pumpkin ale that we like every Halloween. It actually has the same guy on it, but this time he has, instead of a pumpkin head, he has a melon head. This is called Shipyard Melon Head, and it's a guy there. He's got a melon, as in watermelon, which I love, but I've never had the desire to drink it as a beer.
Right.
But so we bought it. So we're gonna try it here. This might suck. It probably will, but maybe we'll be surprised. Charles, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Number 3 on this list, directed by. I'm excited. Here's to hear. We're getting this is the final 3.
Where somebody out here is going to yell at their computer screen.
This is good.
Their iPod, their iPhone.
Oh, this is the first yell, maybe. I'm sure we've had some yells already.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But this is one that's going to be like.
This is the.
How could you possibly put this on a list?
If this was the NFL draft, the Jets fans would be booing this pick right now?
Yes, the Jets fans in New York, they would be booing.
Okay, I'm ready. Number 3.
Stanley Kubrick, A Clockwork Orange.
There's nothing wrong. There should be no booing for this.
There shouldn't be any booing for it, but I'm sure that there's somebody sitting out there right now saying, "God damn it, that is not a horror film."
You're going to bring it. Okay, you're going that angle. Well, luckily, though, you're on Horror's Ball, and I make this clear constantly that if I say it's a horror film, it's a horror film. In my world.
It's a horror film to me, too.
And to me, so that's all that matters. Our opinion is the only one that matters.
So, I don't really need to get into why it's a great movie, I don't think. Just everything about the movie is great. Malcolm McDowell, and once again, this is all going to sound redundant.
Much like Rooker, though, is kind of like a guy you think of. Like, this is his career. To me, that's what you think of when you think of
it's his defining role. I mean, he probably still gets cast in sci-fi and horror movies just because he was in A Clockwork Orange.
Definitely.
Not to say that he's not a great actor, because he is most of the time.
No question.
Even in horrible movies, he's great. But, just the imagery in A Clockwork Orange, the, should I get into the plot of it?
No, we don't. No. Cinematography.
Yeah.
That's Kubrick synonymous with that.
Right.
Which shows how much we both like cinematography with the way some of these films on our list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, amazing film, obviously.
Right.
Cool. I think that's a cool pick. I think it's a cool pick of the list part that you have it that high. I can't argue with that. I'll get my third one in before we do the final segment, and we'll have our final two. Number 3 for me. I'll straight up before I say this, I'll call this a perfect film, and because he easily be my number 1. And this is terrible because I forget the director's name, which is bad. But get out of here. Suspiria, our cat, isn't trying to knock the camera over. Carnival of Souls. Talked about this film many times on the show. I really do think it's flawless. Sorry that I forget the director. The thing about the directors and with the actress in this too, Cannibal Holocaust, you IMDb then, this was his only full-length film of his career. He did a lot of those like educational movies, like, you know, How to Wash Your Hands Properly. Like, he did a bunch of those. And then he just threw out my number 3 pick on my all-time list, like Carnival of Souls. And Holocaust, the lead actress, who I'm just smitten by. Like, she's sexy, she's funny, she's amazing in that film. And she, like, hardly did anything else in her career, which just boggles my mind. This film is trippy. It's funny at times. The writing to me is fantastic, witty, but it's also creepy. Has a fantastic vibe. To me, this is a perfect horror movie to put on in black and white. We've got to see it at a big theater. You know, that was amazing. All right, we'll be right back with our final 2 picks, and I'll probably make a couple other comments on Carnival of Souls. Our final segment, we promise, the final 2 films. Herc Harvey was the director of Carnival of Souls. I apologize. And again, with that film, you know, why it stands out so much to me, like, we have all these stud directors, John Carpenter, Fulci, Argento, right, Romero, you know what I mean? And here's Herc Harvey, you know what I mean? To me, making one of the greatest horror films of all time. What happened? I want the story. Why did he not do anything else? But again, to me, we're at that point, probably both agree, number 3 on here, that these are, to us, probably flawless films, I would say. We're at that point, and that's what Carnival of Souls to me is, just perfect, and every time I watch it, I just love it more and more. And the second black and white film in my list, and I just have such a love for old classic horror. But this is it, the final 2 here, people. Number 2, this is it, with our watermelon beer.
Ridley Scott's Alien, which I'm sure you probably would have predicted.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
It spawned a whole genre of films, basically, on its own. So I don't want to waste too much time talking about it. It's great the way that it's shot. The scene where they go into the ship and they see all of the eggs, and obviously the space jockey, I think they refer to him. Everything in the movie looks great. The set design is just amazing in it. The characters are all pretty likable, you know, except for the ones that aren't supposed to be likable.
Yeah, the ones, yeah.
You know, obviously, like you said, it's number 2. I obviously have to think that it's a perfect movie. And Alien is pretty much a perfect movie to me.
And I want to open up a can of worms, but yeah, one that, you know, I feel strongly particularly about this film is how it looks and what would later become, of course, with the current film and all that, and just bothers me. And that film, Alien, looks so great to me, and why I don't want to bring this argument up, but why, how many years later, things should look better, not worse. I'll just say that. You know, that's all.
I'm just going to leave out the title of what you're talking about.
Everyone knows, and I'll leave it at that.
I like the film, but I would agree that it should look much better.
And a film like that, to me, should look, and I have a great deal of respect for Alien. Again, films that didn't make your list, I know you love, and this is the perfect example of a film that I absolutely love that didn't make my list. And I have a lot of respect for just that movie for all different reasons. But yeah, great movie. My number 2, it's funny. I'll say it first. Well, I'll say it now. We had said that we were going to wonder if we were going to have any of the same picks in this list. Number 2, Ruggero Deodato's Cannibal Holocaust. This is our first match of our list. This would be, I would call this, I keep comparing it to a draft. This stock has risen over time. It's a film that every time, I know some people say they like see it once and they never want to see it again. Or
I had the opposite reaction.
And there's people who say you can only watch it once, or like, this is a film every time I watch it, I've seen it many, many times over the years, I just fall in love with it even more and more every time. And that's why its stock has risen to the point that here it is, number 2 on my all-time list. Matching the points you already mentioned. It has meaning to it, big time. There's a social commentary, which not only does it have a social commentary that is relevant ahead of its time. I mean, that's so relevant now.
Yeah.
You know, with the whole media, but two things: the media thing, of course, our fixation with that, but also kind of the U.S. view of how, not just U.S. to be specific, but how other cultures are treated and disrespected. So you had multiple meanings there, very layered, brutal, amazing gore. Of course, you know, everyone talks about, I don't agree, of course, either with his use of the mistreatment of animals, but they were animals that were used to eat, so it's not like, you know, not to validate anything, but, you know, they weren't chopping dogs, cat, you know, these are animals that were in that situation, were used to be, you know, for food. As you said, my favorite score of all time, which says a lot because there's so much great scores in horror films. I love the cast. They did a great job of being hated. I think they did a great job. You hate those people, which you're supposed to. Great ending. Again, it's a flawless film, obviously. I hate to say it, but I actually think it's underrated because so much focus gets its exploitation, the animal killing. It's brilliant in so many ways. The whole found footage thing, ahead of its time in that way. Just adore it. And it's a film that, over time, every time I see it, I just love it more and more. I think it's just one of the greatest horror films of all time. Great gore, kill scenes, iconic images, of course, and love it. Yet another Italian pick for me, which is dominating my list. Like the USC, again, my draft comparison. So, all right, this is it. Chars, our number one picks of all time. So this is not easy, guys.
Number 1 was very easy for me.
I think I know it. I'm not positive.
You'd have to. Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
A lot of creature features in it.
And this is one of those movies that I think is absolutely perfect. If you were to ask me to go through Jaws and change what I did not like about Jaws, I would change absolutely nothing about Jaws.
Sign of a perfect movie.
Right.
And again, I hate to butt in, we come down to practical effects, great effects,
right.
years later.
And
this is an old movie at this point.
With how many problems they had with filming it, and it just turned out to be, in my opinion, the best movie of all time. So, obviously all of the characters, everybody loves Quint, probably above everybody else. The scene about the Indianapolis, I don't really need to bring up too many specific things. Everybody's seen Jaws. It's a movie that, no matter, if I turn on the television, no matter what channel it's on, if there's commercials, whatever, if Jaws is on, I watch the entire fucking thing from whatever point it's at. Every time, without fail. So, it's my favorite movie of all time.
Great. Excellent. Just on that, quickly, it's my favorite creature feature of all time. I think it's got some of the best effects of all time. Both of these, your top 2 picks here, kind of get a flare in me with the whole effects, because I just respect Alien so much. I respect Jaws so much, and why is that so much better than it is now? Both of these kind of like get my juices flowing that way. Love how Jaws looks when he pops out of They built it. Yeah. This thing is huge. They built it, and people, particularly in Hollywood, don't choose to do that anymore, and it fucking pisses me off. But whatever, that's why I applaud that pick. Great pick. We showed it to Little Headbanger last year. She loved it. Had some jump scare moments. I think it was her first jump scare was in Jaws, so that's sweet. All right, my number 1. Our second match pick. It's so weird that like my top 2 picks ended up at least in your list, so that's cool. Number 1, Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That surprises me.
That's number 1 surprises. We kind of talk about how vibe and atmosphere are big with me. To me, that film epitomizes it. As soon as I put it on, I'm just wrapped up into it with the characters. Marilyn Burns' characters, all of them. You said,
one of the best chase scenes in a movie of all time, too. I have to bring that up before we end.
No question. Marilyn Burns' performance, to me, the final girl, I think of her. I mean, obviously, like, you can go with, so many other people,
Yeah,
obviously, Jamie Lee
yeah.
Curtis. But when I think like the phrase "final girl," and she was like tough, you know, and like the screaming that you think about that she did. Again, I respect the fact that we talk about it's not a real bloody film. There are like it's like brutal without. It's just that.
It doesn't need it.
Yeah, and
it doesn't even need it.
Some people just don't get that, and I respect that. But to me, it's the greatest. It's my favorite horror film of all time. You know, you got The Grandfather, The Chainsaw. I mean, Gunnar Hansen. Say what you will, what would later become of the franchise, but his subdued performance, the way how he comes out at the end, and another film kind of like Fulci Zombie, where there's a lot of sun. You know, obviously the nighttime scenes are important in this, but it's also the hot, sweaty movie, which I think when you think horror, you automatically think it's got to be like black and rainy and dark, and so I respect that. The scene at the end, again, like we said, we're redundant. It's just flawless in my book. The noise, the camera noise, and I kind of have to forget on what the franchise will become later on, but I just absolutely adore it. Obviously, that's it. So that's our. Before we went here, quickly, just a few things that bother me about my list, and maybe you can add something. I don't want to get into individual films because obviously we could each name 100 films that we wish could have been in our top 10. But 3 things in particular. Number 1, the fact that none of George Romero's zombie films ended up in my list was tough. Probably because I love them all. I'm talking about the trilogy, of course. Probably because I love them each so much. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn, and Day. Would have a tough time picking one. So it would pain me to leave, obviously, one of those out. I love them so much before you people yell at me. How could you not put... So I love all 3 of them to death. So that bothered me about my list. Number 2 would be Vincent Price, my favorite male actor of all time. Probably just because he's done so many brilliant films. It's tough to like, much like Mario Bava, who I could have put 5 of his films in this top 10 list. Fulci, Argento. Kind of bothered me that I wasn't able to get a Price film in. And I got Barbara Steele, who's my favorite horror actress, but that I didn't get Price. And the last thing that I have to specifically say bothered me about my list, and it would kind of fit this, maybe I was hoping this would be the case, bothered me that I didn't have any modern horror films in my list. So I think, you know, I always hear people, it goes 2 ways. I hear people say how there's a lot of people who don't watch old stuff, which always bothers me. They only refer to new stuff. But there's the other side where you also say, you know, the greatest films of all time can be modern ones, and there are plenty that I think are worthy today. So maybe we'll do a list post 95 or post 2000, like our top 10 post 2K films. Maybe we could do Blair Witch would be a film in the 90s, of course, that I think was worthy to be in my top 10. So that bothered me that there was no modern films. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a blast doing it. I'm not sure if he did, but we're going to go drink some more, watch some horror films. Thanks for watching. I know it was long, but you know what to expect with this show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time in 100 years when we do our most recent top 10 ever. Cheers. See you later, everybody. We're out.